The amazing ability of the youngest brains. We all know that children learn at an accelerated rate, but never really understood why. Children are wholly dependent for years, and nature has programmed them to acquire the necessary tools to become independent fast, simply to ensure survival. First is language, which will be the single largest accomplishment that they achieve. It is embedded deeply into the neural circuitry. For months, they are watching and listening while their brain is cataloging the continuously repeated 44 phonemes that constitute the English language. That is done mostly unconsciously. When it starts, the brain operates in a very low frequency of neural activity. That's about 1 cycle every 4 seconds. That's in the 3rd trimester of gestation. Babies begin learning from the instant their brains switch on. Learning is first perceiving stimulus, and then it gets coded by linking thousands of the baby's 90 billion neurons together to identify something. A sound, a texture, an image is stored as a constellation of neurons in the spongy part of the brain, the cortex. The full process goes something like this. Perception through the 5 senses, which is transmitted to a part called the thalamus, and this is the brain's perceptual information gatekeeper. The information is allowed to pass is coded into the brain's short-term storage known as the hippocampus. Now, these are part of the limbic system. At night, when the brain slows, that information is passed to and coded into the cortex for permanent storage. So it's multi-stages here. Only that's how it works for adults. Learning for children under 7 is much, much different. It's much more like uploading than what we think of as learning, particularly for the first 24 months. From the brain's ignition through 24 months, an explosion of connections is occurring at a rate never to be approached again. This is known as the synaptic Big Bang. The synapses are the parts of the neurons which connect to each other. Literally, little brains are learning everything they perceived in a programmed fast upload phase. It is uniquely possible because the speed of the brain is so slow. Yes, I said slow. The frequency is delta. The slow firing of the neurons allows connection between the limbic and the cortex. These are the inner and outer part of the brain for continuous transference of information from the thalamus to the hippocampus and then into the cortex. Right? Perception, short-term storage, long-term storage. This allows peak learning. It is the fastest that the brain can learn. Yet we do so little with it. What makes it wildly different from our own brains is that this process is almost entirely unconscious. Everything babies perceive is stored. Of course, most of that early information will become irrelevant on their progress to maturity. So at about 25 months, it changes, and that's because the brain speeds up slightly. It goes from delta to theta, the next phase. Now, that significantly slows the synaptic Big Bang, but learning still remains mostly unconscious and still accelerated. Now the toddler can determine salience and repetition takes care of itself. Think of the young mind as a funnel. The top, its largest aperture, and it's going to stay there for about 24 months. Then it tapers to about 2/3 and slowly gets narrower through age 7. At age 7, the brain speeds up to the next gear, which is alpha. And at that time, the funnel is about 1/4 of its original aperture. Now a child consciously filters information for retention, and focus is required. How children learn the mechanism of the limbic and the cortex is established neuroscience. However, until now, nothing significant has been created to optimize this period. That changed with the creation of 0 to 6 absolute pitch. Our system uses this magnificent once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to place meaningful information in our brains. Musical pitch recognition. You see, with language, a phonetic library is created, giving great order to a significant portion of the brain. Musical pitch recognition amplifies the brain's library for spoken phonemes by extending the demand for identification of the 36 basic notes and chords. Whether you imagine a musical future for your children or you simply want to enhance their neural architecture, there is nothing on earth like 0 to 6 absolute pitch. A few minutes a day will install pitch recognition, and it's best used at the same time they're acquiring their primary language. This is done by simply exposing them to our almost 300 compositions accompanied by videos of everything children find amazing. There has never been anything like this, and the opportunity to enhance your child's mind is fleeting. Do it today.